In this video, we're going to create a custom lower third to display our name and website or our title. Now what we'll do in this video is we will reuse those slant items that we created in the last video. So if you haven't checked out that video, you can find a link in the description. So here inside Camtasia, we have these 3 boxes that we created in the last video. And what I'll do is I will just right click those and copy them, and then I'll go to a new project and I will paste them. We'll zoom in so we can see those a little easier. And then what I'll do is I want these to last longer, closer to 6 or 7 seconds. So I'll just drag these out so they last longer on the timeline. Now, if you remember, we had each of these at 5 degrees or -5 degrees. For this lower third, I want to change this to -3 degrees. And then just like last time, I will select just the middle one and make it a +3. Now, where each of these start currently, if I just scroll down here, we can see that they all start on the right. And I'm going to select each of them, and I want them to all start below this time. So I'll drag below and I'll move my X value to 0 so that it's centered to start. I'm going to scroll up so I can zoom in a bit. And what I want to do is for each of these, we can see that it starts to move up and covers the screen that way. But I don't actually want them to move all the way up. Instead, what I want them to do is just move part way up. I'm going to go to fit, and I'm going to drag all 3 down right around here. Now, this darker one that's on top, I'm going to drag it down a little lower than the others so we can see how each of these are layered. And that gives us a nice foundation or a nice base for us to put some text on top of. Now, we call this a lower thirds because we're putting this information in the lower third of the screen. If we want to know exactly where that is, we can go over to our annotations. I'll grab a line annotation. I'll drag it here to the center of my screen and just drag it all the way across. And then if I change its position in the Y area to -180, that's exactly 1/3. So I can see I'm a little bit shy of 1/3. So instead I'm going to drag these 3 and pull them up to about here. So I'll overshoot a tiny bit on the left and undershoot a little bit there on the right. Now that I have the position for those, I'll one more time change the X value to 0 so those are all centered. And then I can delete this line that I used for reference. So if I go through to play that, I like how they stack each other. So now it's time to add some text. Let's go to annotations on the left. We'll go to the first annotation and we'll grab a text annotation and bring that in. Now I'm going to align this all the way to the left, and I'm also going to change this to the Lato font because I like Lato, and I'm going to bump the size up to 80. And this will just be my first name or perhaps my first and last name. I can make this shorter, and I want to position it right about here. Now I don't want it aligned perfectly with the left edge. I want it to really end right around here, so we'll give a little bit of space there on the left. Then I want to do something similar with either a title or a website. So I'll just Control-C to copy this, and then Control-V to paste. I'll drag this second one down, and we can have a website like Cam Mastery. As I type that in, it didn't have enough room, so I'll just stretch it out so that there's enough room. Another thing I like to do is to make the font thicker, so I'm going to choose Lato Black, and then I get a thicker font. And I'll move this up just a little bit more. Now we want to animate both of these in. So let's start with my name. I will go in to the center of this. I'll make sure it's selected. Shift-A to add an animation. And we'll make it much shorter like we did before. We'll make it closer to ½ second. And this is the position where I want it to end the animation. And at the beginning, I want it to be off to the left. Now I want to pay attention to the Y value. So when I click on this Properties tab, I want to see that its Y value is -350.5. Okay, I'm just going to click that once and copy that. I'm going to need that in a moment because I'm going to drag this off. And then I know that I'm close. Well, actually in this case, it's exactly still at the same point, which is perfect. If it wasn't, I would go in and I would paste that number. Okay, so now if I play through that name, it comes in and slides in from the left. Now I want to animate the website. For this, I'm going to do something different because I want to animate it in, I want to animate it out, and I want to animate it while it's on the screen. And that sounds more like a behavior. So I'm going to go over to behaviors, and we can drag any behavior we want to this. So I'll drag this one in. It's not anything I'm going to use. What I want to do is have it come in. I want it to slide in, and I'll have it slide in as a complete object rather than a few letters at a time. And I want it to slide in from the bottom. I'll do the same thing on out. I'll go in and I'll choose it to slide. I'll choose it as an entire object and from the bottom. So now if I play through that, it slides in, then it has something different in the middle. Instead of drifting, I prefer fading. So let's change it to fading, and we'll leave the rest of the settings as the default. So now if I play through this, I see my name appears, the website comes up, it fades across, and then it drops away. Now, what didn't happen is my name didn't slide back off, and these rectangles didn't slide back down. What I want to do is select all 4 of those. So that's the 1 for the name and the 3 for the rectangles. And I want to restore those to where they were before. So I'm going to go to Animations. I'll choose the Animations tab, and I want to choose the Restore Animation. So I'm going to click and drag this down here, and that will restore each of these. Now, each of these is a little too long, so I'm going to select the first one, hold down Control and select the others, and I'm going to change the duration of all of these down to about ½ a second. Now, I'll take the first one and I'll drag it to the end, and then I'll drag each of these so they stagger on their way out. And now if I play through this, I can see that those pages come up, or those rectangles come up, the name appears, and then things move away and disappear off the screen. And if you want to learn more about creating videos in Camtasia, be sure to check out the other videos on this channel and check out the website cammastery.com. I'm Ron Hogue. Thanks for watching.